Welcome into the inaugural episode of the Combat Buzz podcast, hosted by myself, Mikey Domagala, CEO and owner of Sports Buzz Network, and my co-host, MMA reporter Matt Kennedy. For episode one, former UFC lightweight championship contender Al Iaquinta joins us and we'll talk about his fighting career, out of the octagon, his real estate stuff, and everything in between. Al, welcome to the Combat Buzz podcast. We appreciate you coming on for the first episode.
What's up? The first episode. Let's go. Started off with a bang. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me. Awesome stuff. Really excited for you guys. This is great.
Thank you, Al. Yeah, so you're almost 4 years removed from your last fight, and in that time, you become a very successful real estate agent in New York. So, how was that transition, and how did it begin, and how's business?
Wow, 4 years. That's crazy. Um, so I was selling real estate while I was fighting. I got injured back when I was on the Ultimate Fighter, and then I had to have a more serious surgery a couple of years later. And I was like, man, what am I gonna do? Well, they said this surgery that I'm having is pretty serious. I might not fight again. And you know, the UFC didn't. It didn't sound like they really cared too much about the injury or whatever. And I was like, wow, that's a wake up call. You kind of thought they would always have you back. So I said, what am I gonna do? And Uriah Faber had been my coach on the Ultimate Fighter, and he was a big real estate investor, still is, heavily involved in real estate investing. And while I was on the Ultimate Fighter, preached investing money wisely and how great of an investment real estate was. I got injured, I had surgery, and I crutched into the real estate course, got my real estate license, ended up thankfully being able to continue fighting briefly, but did go back and had a couple of big fights in that time. While I was selling real estate, I would kind of juggle the two going back and forth, knowing that eventually the fighting was on his way out for me, and that real estate would be the goal at that time.
And that's kind of every fighter. Fighters aren't really lasting into their late 30s anymore, even early 40s. So, life after battle, we'll call it. What's your advice to, say, a guy who's ready to retire, maybe hasn't made a ton of money in his career, hasn't been a top guy, looking to do something else after fighting, but he's almost emotionally attached to that, always being known as a fighter. He can't give up that he has to do something else as well as training. What's your advice to that guy?
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, but in some aspects, and in some aspects, it is. It depends on really how you like look at everything. But um, fighting, it instills things in you that will give you the edge to succeed in life in a lot of things. If you can get in a cage, lock the doors, and fight somebody, there's really nothing you can't do. Uh, it takes a lot to be able to do that, and to if you can do that, I think you can kind of just about do anything if you put your mind to it. To a certain extent, anyone could really sign up for a fight and get in there and do it, but to get to the UFC level and get to the level where it's more of a career that you're ending and going on to another chapter. Yeah, it could definitely be difficult. The identity of as a UFC fighter, for me, I kind of like switched my identity right away. Even while I was fighting, I became like the UFC fighter that it was like everyone was kind of like joking, oh, he's a real estate agent, but people knew me as that, and I got deals that I probably wouldn't have, or I don't even know if I should have gotten back then. People trusted me to sell their property, and luckily I always surrounded myself with people that really were experienced and knew how to guide me to get the job done, which is something that I think finding great leaders is a trait that comes from mixed martial arts. If you can seek out the best gyms, the best training partners, you can surround yourself with people that do the right thing and know how to get you where you want to go. If you make it to the UFC, you probably surrounded yourself with the right people, and if you're going on into anything else in any other career, you use that same formula, finding people that know how to get you where you want to go, and you'll be successful.
And who is that, Al? I'm assuming Ray Longo, Matt Serra, Weidman, those kind of guys who have made money, have had your experiences and all that kind of guiding you along the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I found Ray Longo and Matt Serra early in my career. Like how blessed I was to be able to find them, not only uh, find them, but for their gyms to be 15, 20 minutes away from my house. Like for me to grow up on Long Island, such as, I could have been born anywhere in the world. I was born on Long Island, 10 minutes away from Matt Serra and Ray Longo, who are two of the top coaches in the history of the sport, was just incredible. And then I also sought out, people that assisted me and helped me in different ways, management and yeah, Chris Weidman, Aljamain Sterling, even like Pete Drago Sell, Luke Kumo early in my career. Those guys were like in the UFC. Matt Serra was fighting in the UFC, and that's who you want to surround yourself. If you want to be in the UFC, you got to surround yourself with people who are in this UFC and successful. Um, and yeah, it kind of took that same formula and transferred over into real estate. Surrounded myself with people that are very successful in real estate, and it was good. Fighting kind of opened up some doors to conversations and getting me into rooms that I might not have been able to get into if it weren't for the fighting thing. But yeah, I've definitely become friendly with David Green, Nikki Lamagna, who's a Sarah BJJ black belt, also rock star real estate investor, crushes it. Jason Griggs and the Home Smart team out in Las Vegas, Goran and Randall is they're my real estate team that that really helped me guide me and show me the right way to do things in real estate.
In general, who would you say would be that one single fighter that, coming up in the early days that you looked up to most? If there was any in specific, who would it be, do you think?
Uh like as far as like guys that I was training with, it was Weidman. Weidman was I knew of Chris growing up. He was uh stud in high school. He went to Baldwin High School, not too far from me. It's like I don't know, 20 minutes away from where I am in Wantagh. And then you see him, watch him at Hofstra. I was still in high school. He was wrestling at Hofstra. He was, All American at Hofstra, and then got into fighting around the same time. And just seeing his mindset coming from uh, a high caliber wrestler into MMA, it was awesome. I mean, him, really everybody that I surrounded myself with, I really looked up to, and took things from each of them and tried to like kind of like mold myself after. It was really really cool time for sure.
Yeah. And so at like around what age would you say you went full in and said, I want to go pro. I want to make this, for the foreseeable future. I'm going to do this, be a fighter.
Yeah, it was pretty early. It was pretty early. I went to UFC 53. It was in Atlantic City, New Jersey. What are they up to? What are they at? What is it? Is it 300?
318.
Yeah,
318.
318. So I don't know. What is that? Like 250 UFCs ago, 260 UFCs ago. Went to Atlantic City with a couple of my friends. I think it was man, I don't know what that was. It was like June of 2005 or 2006. It might have been 2006. Andre Arlovsky fought Justin Eilers for the title. Nick Diaz was just getting into it. He fought Koji Oishi, knocked him out in the first round. Crazy fight. Evan Tanner, Rich Franklin, Matt Serra fought. I didn't even know who Matt Serra was, but this is awesome, right? I'm watching Matt Serra, and I'm like, oh, this guy's from East Meadow. I go, oh, it's awesome. Like, I live in Wanto. It's right down the block. And he goes out there and he fights Caro Parisian, crazy fight. I remember Caro Parisian had Matt Serra, he caught him in like an armbar, and Matt did the hitchhiker escape where you let it go and then you twist out, and I didn't know what I was looking at, but I was like, that was crazy. He was like almost about to get his arm broken, and he knew in a split second went to turn his arm and went to hit a bridge over his head, and I just was the crowd went nuts, and I was like that he must have drilled that a million times like in the room just to be able to do that under the lights under all the pressure and everything, and I was like okay. I didn't sleep that night. I was amped. I just watched. We paid like $250, and back then they got you sick tickets. We were like just off the floor for 250. It was like crazy. Boardwalk Hall, Atlantic City, and I was like, I can't. I got to know what it's like to fight. Like the energy I felt just being in the stands. I was like, I got to know
Yeah.
what it's like to fight in the cage, and it was pretty much that moment. I said I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get in there just once, just
Yeah.
once.
And that got you hooked. So 14-0 as an amateur, 5-1 in Ring of Combat. So everybody wants to know what's the process of getting to the Ultimate Fighter? Who sees you? Who calls you? And what's that process like?
I don't know what it's like now, but back then it was like mayhem. It was like what was that shit? American Idol. You remember
Yeah,
American
yeah.
Idol? And there was like some people would go and they couldn't sing for the life of them, and then there was some that were you could saw like they were like really good. Like some of these people that showed up at this Ultimate Fighter tryout were like crazy. It was like I think I saw like a million pink and red mohawks and like people with crazy like piercings and like just there's a bunch of lunatics. Um, but yeah, you try out, you hit pads, then you grapple, and they watch you, and then they say you are on to the next round, or you cut, or you're on to and then the last one is an interview, and you do an interview with the producer, Craig Pelagian, and yeah, I ended up getting on, the Ultimate Fighter. I was supposed to fly out to the Ultimate Fighter, I think season 12 or 11, and I got hurt. I broke my hand, so I had to pull out of being on the Ultimate Fighter, crushing.
Mhm.
Um, and then they did my weight class like maybe a year later or 2 seasons later, or something like that. And I called them back and I was like, "Hey, I was supposed to be on 11. Can I get back on?" They brought me out for the second tryout, so I kind of like bypassed a little bit, but yeah.
All right, all right. And you mowed down the competition on the show. You get to the finale. You lose your MMA debut, your UFC debut, excuse me, against Michael Chiesa. What's that like, and how do you fight those inner demons of mowing through the amateurs, mowing through the show? You get to the big moment, and you get submitted.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, that Ultimate Fighter was the craziest one. It was 15 weeks. He had 5 fights in 15 weeks. I fought 3 times in the last 2 weeks. So I was definitely banged up. It was war of attrition and trying to stay healthy. And, I think, the semifinal fight that I had kind of messed me. That's where I originally hurt my knee, that knee injury that I was talking about. So it wasn't great. But yeah, no, I just, it really did fuel me. It fueled me to just outwork everybody, and I knew I was right there. I knew like I had trained with Michael Chiesa throughout that whole season, so like I knew where I was, and it was just like yeah. Now I'm in the UFC. I had the first surgery right after that fight, and then yeah, I was just training like an animal.
Yeah. So, you got double as many wins as losses in your career, 5 fight win streak in the UFC, a lot of big wins, big names there. So, who would you say is your best win?
Best win. I mean, Masvidal was a big one. It was a tough fight, close fight. Um, I guess somewhat controversial. It's always good to beat up Kevin Lee. It's always good to beat up Kevin Lee. At the time, even Joe Lazone and Ross Pearson, like the Ross Pearson fight, that was a big one for me. That was like the first fight where I fought a guy that I had seen on TV. He was on The Ultimate Fighter years before me, and I remember just being like, wow, I'm getting the opportunity to fight Ross Pearson. Like that's a guy that I saw growing up and coming up, and uh, in the cage, Bruce Buffer's announcing us. I'm looking across. I'm in Sydney, Australia, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. I'm fighting. I'm freaking fighting Ross Pearson, and yeah, to get a knockout win there in Sydney in Australia was just incredible. Really crazy.
You mentioned Kevin Lee. What was it like fighting him twice and beating him twice? You know, two big wins.
Yeah, yeah. The first one, well, it was his debut. It was like I think I had two fights before him, um, and he came in cocky. He left humbled, and then he started talking again that he could beat me, and I was like, "What the heck? I did, dude! I beat the crap out of you the first time." Although he had, I guess, he had some good moments in the first fight, which gave him the hope that he could do it again and do it better, the second time. But yeah, after all the trash talk, went out there and beat him that second time, and yeah, it just always feels good to shut that guy up.
Mm.
He's still talking to this day. The guy, I don't know. He should stop talking probably, but I don't think he'll ever learn.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's been getting knocked out a little bit recently. I'm not gonna lie. He's
Yeah, it was a
made a
rough one,
comeback.
the last one. You hate to see it because I think, you know, his stand-up's really never been great, and I don't know. I think he's just in over his head, and the game is evolving like crazy. I'm like, I see these guys training that, Kevin Lee was like a decent wrestler in high school and not a great striker. He's pretty athletic and strong, but now these kids are coming up. They're sick wrestlers, sick kickboxers, sick in jujitsu at a young age, and they're putting it all together. Excuse me.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, it's
It seems like the game is evolving that way. Like now kids are MMA fans watching all the big fighters. They're seeing the techniques and all that. So I agree. I see even in the UFC, the dynamicness of these young guys, like even like Rosas Jr. at 18 years old, being relatively a contender at his age, that's incredible.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. The level is just the bar just goes higher. Like the amateurs of today are like UFC fighters of 10 years, 20 years ago, you know?
What would you say is the hardest single fight, you know, that tested you the most and that you feel that maybe you benefited the most from?
No, definitely the benefited the most was I think the Khabib fight definitely, although it was a loss, it definitely showed a lot of heart, a lot of skill in that one. And yeah, he was probably the toughest opponent that I faced. He's just real good, real good. The whole lead up to that thing was crazy, and on short notice to go in there and go 5 rounds. I hadn't really been training for five. I hadn't been training for 5 rounds, but yeah, it was definitely a tough one.
Yeah. And we remember it as fans. I mean, that lead up was crazy. Much respect to you just stepping in against, him at his peak. And
Yeah,
Al, he wrestled freaking bears as a kid. Can you
yeah.
can you describe his strength, his technique compared to others? Is it something you've ever felt before in the octagon?
Uh, I mean, definitely not something I felt before. He's the way he positions his weight and his body. And, I didn't want to be up against the cage. And then he made an adjustment. He shot in the middle of the cage, took me down, which was something I hadn't really prepared or really seen him do too much. But yeah, no, it's definitely he has his game and he's great at getting you there. And if he can't, he'll make the adjustments to get you there, which is
And how about trash talk? I mean, he had a lot of animosity towards Connor, but was he
yeah.
talking you in there?
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Nothing. There was one time he had me up against the cage, and Matt Sarah was yelling, yelling instructions to me, and Khabib was like, "Yes, yes, these are good instructions." I was like, "You motherfucker!" But yeah, no, definitely, yeah, tough guy for sure.
So you've been a main training partner to two champs, Merab and Aljamain Sterling. One of them's the champ right now. So, like, what do those guys mean to you as friends, and what's it like to be a part of their legacy?
Yeah. Oh, it's great to see. I mean, Merab is just right now living the dream, right? It's so great to see that guy, like everything that guy's worked for. He was working as, in construction, not too long ago, 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, something like that, working construction, then going to the gym after, training for 3 or 4 hours, getting like a day's two training sessions worth of training, and after working all day construction, like what an animal, you know? And then like the UFC kind of really didn't push him too much. They kind of even held him back when he said he wasn't fighting his friend. They're like, oh, they put him to the back of the line. It's actually working out kind of against him because he's beaten everybody before he was even the champ. So now he's basically cleared out the division. You know what I mean? Um, couldn't be happier for that guy. Aljo, just same. Just so happy. Came, you know, from Uniondale, Long Island. Now lives in Vegas. Multiple properties. He's getting married soon. He's just doing great, and he's got a big fight coming up in China. Brian Ortega. It's a big one, but I think it's stylistically a really good matchup for Aljo.
How do you think that goes down? You think he wrestles him to death? Do you think he subs him? Stand up? It goes the distance?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Aljo's really tricky. People don't give him the respect in the stand up that they should. He's really tricky stand up. Very unorthodox. His dexterity with the kicks. His kicks come out and he just freaking kicks you out of nowhere. And then on the ground, it's a whole different game. He's definitely one of the more unique grapplers that I've ever rolled with or anything. You could be in on a deep shot, like you're about to take him down, and then before you know it, he's got your back and he's choking you out. You're like, what the heck? How did that happen? I was just in on a deep shot and like feeling good about finishing, and yeah, it's yeah, those guys are great. Nazim Sadikov coming up, he's looking great. A lot of good up and comers too out of the Saralongo camp. So it's exciting time, and now I just get to sit back and watch and live through these guys, and it keeps me excited. It keeps me in the game, which is awesome.
Back to Marab, what's the secret to that motor? How does a human being move that much, strike that much, go for 25 takedowns, and in the fifth round, he still looks relatively fresh? What's his secret?
His secret is, I'll tell you what, his secret is he's always had like I think he's kind of genetically something with the cardio, definitely so, but it's not all genetics because he just outworks everybody. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do anything bad. He's always in the gym. He's always doing one more round. He's always working harder than the last guy, the next guy. So I think that's really it. I mean, the Georgian people, the mountain people, he can just like climb anything. He's scary like that, but he's good. And then you match that up with a work ethic that can't be topped. And he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do anything bad. And mentally, I think that maybe just as much as physically, like he just knows that there's nobody that can outlast him. He doesn't worry about getting tired because he knows that if the other guys, if he tries to get himself tired because he knows if he's tired, the other guy's going to be twice as tired, if not just dead.
And what's the craziest thing you've ever seen him do out of the octagon that, you could share? I'm sure he's done some crazy stuff, but we've seen him dive into a river that's full of ice and nail his head
Yeah.
off a mountain into, water at a crazy height. What's some other stuff you've seen?
He was doing a push up off a mountain one time. And I looked away. I was like, you don't really, you can't tell him to stop. Because he just likes doing it or whatever. But I didn't want to see him if if he fell. I was like, I just don't want to. I couldn't even watch. I was like, Rob, I can't even look. I think we were in Jamaica. We were in Jamaica with Aljo, and he was like hanging off a cliff, like doing pull-ups over the cliff. I was like, oh no. And I don't know if you saw the one where he swam across the whole pool.
Yes,
That
in
was,
Vegas. In
yeah,
Vegas, right?
yeah. It's like a lesbian couple making out in the corner, and he's just like swimming by them. Or actually, I don't know if they were lesbian. They were like, whatever. There was like couples, there were the girls like cuddling or whatever, and he's just like swimming by everybody. It's like hysterical.
And Al, have you ever sold real estate to anybody famous in MMA?
Yeah. I mean, I helped Ray Longo sell his house, uh, and his in-laws' house. I did help Merab buy a house here in Belmore. Um, what else did I? John Volante. John
Okay.
Volante is uh, former UFC light heavyweight turned heavyweight, absolute legend, Long Island legend, and yeah, yeah.
Wrapping up, what's next in your career, whether it's MMA, real estate? What do you want to accomplish going forward?
Oh, yeah. In real estate, we're working every day helping the people on Long Island buy and sell. We've had really in the last year had some really great agents join the agency, um, and helping them help their clients. Really, just helping helping the Long Island people. I love Long Island. I love the area. I love the people. I love the places. I love the beach, the North Shore, the South Shore, Nassau County, Suffolk County, the Hamptons, Montauk. It's just the greatest place, especially in the summer. And when people are looking to buy, sell, or rent, I know I can help them. And I don't think there's anybody that can help them as good um, as we can here at Iaquinta Real Estate. Like just the network that we've grown here through coming from fighting, and there's definitely a great awareness of the brand here on Long Island, and people know that um, when they hire us to do the job, we're gonna get it done.
Well, I'm a Long Islander myself. So for Ally Quinta alongside Matt Kennedy, I'm Mikey Domagala. That was episode 1 of the Combat Buzz podcast. Al, we greatly appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, fellas. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Got it.